Earlier in the show, you tried to trade him for Justin Herbert. Will the Vikings regret moving on from Sam Darnold with JJ?
No. I mean, everything I'm hearing out of Minnesota, just from reports, it seems like they just are overjoyed with J.J. McCarthy. And beyond that, Sam Darnold, I know he's your guy, Wiles. He's had one good season in 7 years. I'm not ready to say he's a franchise quarterback. I'm just not. I have to see him go do it without a QB whisperer at head coach and without arguably the best receiver in the league, which he had last year. So even if J.J. McCarthy isn't all that, I don't think they messed up by moving on from Darnold, because we saw Darnold when the bright lights got bright. The last game of the season against Detroit with things on the line, the playoff game, basically his 2 worst games of the year. And so I don't think they were going to go become like a Super Bowl team with Sam Darnold anyway. So, no, I don't think they'll regret it.
But to your point, Brew, the fact that Sam Darnold played so well makes it that much harder for J.J. McCarthy, because everybody's expectation is if Sam Darnold can come in and do that, then obviously J.J. McCarthy should be able to do that, because that's who they traded Darnold for, essentially. The other thing is he's had the year of where he was there, but he really didn't get any experience. That's a learning curve. Coming off the injury, that's a learning curve. And this division is not easy. They're going to have a lot of challenges from that perspective as well. So they should hope that they can get to the bright lights and see whether or not J.J. McCarthy can manage that situation. I'm not sold that he can.
Even if J.J. McCarthy's not the guy, I think moving on is the right decision, because you have to give yourself a chance to have the guy. And where you and I get, look at this differently is you feel like they were kind of turning their nose up at 4,000 yards and 14 wins. Is that fair?
I think it's 4,300 yards.
Okay, yeah. And I think that they did not look at that as duplicable. I think that if they thought, we run it back, if we keep JJ on ice one more year and run it back with Sam, franchise tag him, whatever, take the salary cap hit, we're getting a carbon copy of last season and just hope the end is different. I think they would have done it. I think they, having all the information they had, said that was like a top 3% outcome.
No, I'm sorry, I'm ending the clip there, because that's just 1% wrong, and that's just absurd. They moved on from Sam Darnold because ultimately they drafted J.J. McCarthy, and they feel as though that J.J. McCarthy will be able to elevate the ceiling even higher than that of a Sam Darnold. They believed in Sam Darnold. They went out and paid a hefty price for a backup quarterback. Okay, so Sam Darnold was always a legitimate piece for them to use, and they had an unbelievable season. And Sam Darnold played awesome, and in no way they're like, that was just a fluke. That's not how these guys operate. You think that's how Kevin Unnell's operating? Like that's just absurd. That's that. Wow. Hi. That's just so fundamentally incorrect. I don't even believe it. And I mean, they would have happily kept Sam Darnold if they could have gotten him for a cheaper price. They didn't want to pay too much because specifically of them having J.J. McCarthy and the belief in J.J. McCarthy. So if they could absolutely run it back in a carbon copy and performances of what they got out of Sam Darnold, but they could have gotten it at a cheaper cost and what Sam Darnold was going to be able to demand. They would have done that, but it was just like kind of the price point and what they're looking to build, and looking how they're trying to build for JJ. Again, that's just a kind of just how it works sometimes. That's just the way it goes. And I don't think Sam Darnold didn't just fail because the lights got bright. He was running for his life. If it's okay for Justin Herbert and Matthew Stafford and Patrick Mahomes and company to struggle when they're being pressured 90% of the time and have nowhere to go, it's okay for Sam Darnold for that to happen to Sam Darnold as well. So it's just kind of absurd. And the reality is that J.J. McCarthy was always going to have struggles. He was always going to have struggles. He's an incredibly young quarterback who got injured and was unable to practice and play throughout the year. He was not able to develop. There was no development that took place. Yeah, he was able to look at the playbook and watch some film and whatnot. He was not developed. He was not practiced. I mean, Kevin Unell said this out loud essentially when he was just like, and this was like an OTS where he's like, now's the time where we're going to evaluate and see what we got with JJ. We're going to see what he's good at and what he's not good at and, figure that stuff out. When a player is being developed and gets to sit for a whole year, they already got all that information because they had a whole year's worth of camp and practice and all of that, which is what Andy Reid was able to do with Patrick MS. Everyone always goes to that example more often than not. And it's like they did not have that with J.J. McCarthy. This is why I always say, like, this is year one. This is rookie year for him. And not to mention, obviously, coming back from an injury where, not to mention, you're now also just not able to be who you were physically for a chunk of time, which will just put you behind, as well. So there was always going to be failures. There was always going to be struggles. I think it's 100% irrational to think that a player like J.J. McCarthy, a young quarterback who's coming off an injury, who came off a year of not playing football at all, not even practice, that he's going to be able to step up and play as great as a seasoned veteran. I know everybody wants to downplay Sam Darnold. It's just absurd. I mean, it really is. You become a seasoned veteran for a reason. You become an important piece to a team and can contribute for a reason. And to expect that just like any old player can just get thrown into that who has no NFL experience is just going to be able to hit the ground run and then ball from the jump. It's irrational. I mean, it's just you to expect that would be insane. If he does it, it will be amazing and it will be awesome. But to have that as like the floor for him is 4,000 plus yards and 30 some touchdowns and low interceptions and leading this team to 14 plus wins. Like, that's a bridge too far. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to get confused. He's going to hold on to the ball too long at times. He's going to force a throw and throw an interception. He's going to look this way and then be stripped and have a fumble. Like, he's going to read the defense wrong at a time. He's going to be confused by what Kevin Unell wants from him in the middle of a drive. Like, you're going to have problems. You're going to have miscommunications. You're going to have issues. It's a guarantee. It's an absolute guarantee because it's been that way for every other quarterback under the sun. Okay? So to think that J.J. McCarthy, no matter how great you believe him to be, is just going to be able to transcend that because you think Sam Darnold is such a trash, awful quarterback, yet he was still able to get $10+ million from the Minnesota Vikings in the first place, and be the starter for them and win all these games that we just think they're like, oh, anyone could do it. Yeah, you just throw anyone in there. It's not how football works. It's not how football works. And it's just absurd at this point. And then we don't have to invent things like, they think that whatever happened to Sam Darnold, that was just like a 3% chance. No, you thought that was a 3% chance. You thought that was like practically impossible for it to happen. And the fact that it happened, you're like, even the Minnesota Vikings don't believe it. That's not true. That's not even remotely true. Otherwise, they wouldn't have paid what they paid him for. You don't give that amount of money for a backup quarterback. It's just not how it happens in the NFL. And Kevin Unell throughout that summer kept talking about Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold. The writing was on the wall before J.J. McCarthy got injured. And just because you guys wanted to fight against it week after week after week and pretty much just close your eyes and put your fingers in your ears and just say, this isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. Doesn't mean that it's not real. Doesn't mean that it's not real. So, I don't think there's regret. It's a swing that the Vikings took. I think if Sam Darnold wanted a little bit less money or a shorter contract or, whatever it was, you can make the argument of, hey, J.J. McCarthy is young, we can have him sit for another year. we've seen that with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love and, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like we could do that, but he was in a position where he was going to be able to make a lot more money. And they were just like, nah, there's other things that we want to do with this roster. Let's even though we might have to take a couple steps back with JJ from Sam, just by the sheer fact that one is a rookie and the other is a legitimate veteran of the NFL, we believe that with the contract flexibility that we have, as well as the development of JJ, that we can get back to where we were with Sam and then have a longer runway and a higher ceiling. It's not that complicated. And that's the choice that they took. That was the path that they decided to take. They're like, all right, this is worth the swing. This is worth the risk chance that we are going to take. Doesn't have to downplay Sam Darnold. It doesn't even have to elevate JJ McCarthy. It's just we still have like weird conversations about the Minnesota Vikings and JJ and Sam for that matter, honestly. But yeah, I mean what JJ McCarthy is even saying here is exactly right. Learning from failures and trying to get better. Like that is how a young quarterback is going to get better, right? You're going to fail your way to success. Like that's how it works, you got to find that touch. Again, there was a lot of throws in OTS where I felt I could have had a better outcome if I had that touch. Just learning from failures and trying to get better, right? You got to find that touch again, right? Like this is part of the process of not really being able to play football for an entire, he had a stretch of time where he didn't play football. He had the longest stretch of time of not playing football that he's ever had in his entire life. And it just so happens that has to now go play in the NFL, right? Like that is a thing. It's an experience. It's a new experience for him on top of another new experience. Like that's what I'm trying to emphasize as well. So like it is stacked against him a little bit. It's not say that he won't succeed. It's not to say that he won't have a ton of success. But it's just like this, it's a steep uphill battle for him. And that's okay. That's okay. The real question that I said about the Minnesota Vikings is how great do they need JJ McCarthy to be? Because if we're saying that Kevin Unal is this brilliant coach, which I think he is, we're saying that this roster is awesome, which I think it is. We're saying that they got the other side of the ball taken care of, great defense, great defensive coach, which I believe it is. It's like the question is, can JJ McCarthy just be average? Can he just be a good enough game manager that will be enough to have this team win 10 plus wins, 11 wins, competing for a playoff spot? If JJ McCarthy can be really comfortable and confident and really have his legs under him and prove like, yo, I was a top draft pick for a reason, well then it's like, well then you are back to 12, 13, 14, and beyond wins. But to me, it's just like, if we're saying that this roster is awesome, we're saying that this coaching staff's awesome, it's like, all right, then in order just to be able to win 10 games, like we just need a quarterback who cannot go backwards, right? He doesn't have to be amazing. He doesn't have to stretch the potential of this team any more than it needs to be. He just needs to not hurt it, and the wins and the success should be baked in. To me, that's the target that you're looking for, at least when looking at it from a Minnesota Vikings franchise perspective, not necessarily like a JJ McCarthy quarterback perspective, because it's in a lot of ways it's kind of two different things, especially when you're talking about having a first-year quarterback with a team that's pretty well established at this point. A lot of veterans, obviously, a lot of special players like the Justin Jeffersons, established head coach. Like they're all in different timelines right now of one another. So, which is the benefit of a Sam Darnold. You're adding a veteran to this puzzle piece. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings and JJ McCarthy? Do you think they will regret moving on from Sam Darnold? And how do you feel about JJ's struggles and failures? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. We want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.